Hey folks, Professor K here. So in our last video, we focused a lot on restoring and editing photos to make them look less distracting and really focus on your content. In this video, I want to switch gears a little bit. We're going to focus on tools that allow you to express yourself creatively and change the color of photos and the way that different photos interact with each other and blend with each other. These techniques include adding photos to each other, using layer effects to change the way that photos look, including using different colors on them, giving them a drop shadow, things like that. And then layer blending modes, how different layers change when they're layered on top of each other, and whether they add to, subtract from, how those colors interact with each other. We'll also take a look at clipping masks. All of these together can help you really blend together photos and create really interesting creative effects in Photoshop to further your concept in your meeting. Let's get started. All right, so just like last time, up here in Photoshop, I have a rough approximation of where we're going to land by the end of this tutorial. Now, because I'll be showing you these steps step by step, kind of live, we may not get exactly here, but we'll get pretty close. And what our goal is here is to get a creative text effect on top of a photo that we're going to download from Unsplash. And you can check out the description below if you want to follow along in this tutorial, and then get this textured effect on top of it. You can see that this only takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers in Photoshop. So it's not a complicated technique, but it has a big impact. Taking a look at our history palette, it also doesn't take that many tools to get here. So let's take a look and see what this photo originally looked like when I started by clicking up at the top of our history palette. Like this, right? Wow, that's an amazing transformation from here to here. And let's take a look at some of the steps that I took before we get into this tutorial overall to get to this place. We used the patch tool, which we learned about in our last video, in order to remove the moon. We used a new type layer, transformed it to make it larger, changed some different ways that things were visible. We placed a different photo. You'll learn what a smart object is in here as well. Created a clipping mask. That's what says that this photo is only going to apply to this text, and then changed the way that the layers blended with each other. So let's take a look at what that's actually going to look like from start to finish. Here's our original photo. We want our text to be on top of this photo, and this moon's going to be in the way. So let's use a tool that we learned about from our last video to help us accomplish this. We are going to use the patch tool, and if you haven't seen this yet, be sure to check out that video because it'll really help you out in times like this to remove the moon so it doesn't interfere with our text on top of the page. Now you can see that there's a nice clear area where we can put text in. That makes it a lot easier to see. Let's next figure out what that text might look like. We're going to use the text tool down here, the horizontal type tool. And over here, I'm going to use Proxima Nova black. And then this is a really large typeface size here. I've got it at 1278 point. As you can see, that's really big. The words that I wanted here were shine and on. So let's put those there. And as you can see, they're overlapping each other. That is because our leading, our line height, is very small right now. So let's set this to 1200 point, much better. And then let's take this down. Let's try 1100. Oops, nope, that's just 110. 1100. Still a bit too big. How about 900? I'm just going to kind of type these in here and play with it until it gets to be about the right size. My goal is to have the shine and the on be the same width. So this may take a few tries, but it's worth it. 500 is too small. Let's try 550. Oh, so close. We're getting really close here. 600. Okay, so at this point, I can fine tune this by clicking once inside of here, and then using my up and down arrow keys to just nudge that number up. So once you get pretty close, just use that technique to get those closer. I'm also going to select all by using Command A, holding Option, and then using those up and down arrow keys to change that line height. So I'm going to, it looks like this is going to take a while if I use that shortcut. Why don't I try this with 600? Too small. 1000? That's a little bit better. Let's try 950. Ah, perfect. All right, so now I've got that locked up, kind of fit into place just the way I like. And what I want to do now is I want it to take up about this square of space. So I'm going to use the free transform tool, Command T, to just drag this out and make it bigger, just like you would in Illustrator. An object free transform here, it'll be right under Edit. And I'm just gonna, again, paying attention to that space up top and bottom. I want these to be roughly equal. And I would fine tune this after the end of this tutorial, but for right now, I really want to focus on just getting the rough bits in here. So one thing that I've done ahead of this tutorial is I have downloaded a photo that I want to use as the texture on inside of Shine On here. So what I'm going to do is drag and drop this photo right into Photoshop here. And you can see that it's placed. And if we look to the right here in layers, it's got this kind of interesting little shape to it here. This is called a smart object. And you can see even if you hover over it, it says smart object. Smart objects create a copy off to the side in Photoshop so that if you ever want to go back to the original look and feel of the photo, you can always get to it. You just do that by double clicking. So let's see what that looks like. Double click. After editing, it says File and Save to commit the changes. And now we can see the original photo here. What's great about this is that you can use it as a template, right? You can update the photo and it will update everywhere else. We'll learn more about why that's helpful later on. But for right now, let's just note that that's what that is. I want to drag this on top of my type. And then I want this photo to only apply to this type. I want it to be masked by that type. If you command and click on any item in Photoshop, it will automatically select the edges of it. So for example, here you can see the marching ants around Shine On. So we can see that that's where this photo would apply to. The easiest way to make sure that a piece of a photo only applies to what's underneath it is called a clipping mask. So here we are going to right click or command click on the layer that we want to mask. So here we want this photo, this kind of crinkly texture, to be masked by Shine On. We're going to right click on that and we're going to click Create Clipping Mask right here in this contextual menu. And now you can see that that photo is clipped to that text. This is a great way to restrict your changes to certain parts of a photo. That's what clipping masks are all about. Choosing a certain part of the photo or a certain layer to restrict all your changes to. You'll see why that's important when we get into heavier photo manipulation. All right. So at this point, we want to change the way that this text interacts with this photo. I want it to look more natural. Right now, we can see that this is a tinfoil texture, but I want it to look more like the sea down here. So to do this, I can use something called layer blending modes. Layer blending modes are right here underneath layers in your layers palette. This one says normal, where you see this normal in this dropdown. This will allow you to select a new blending mode and change the way that that layer interacts with everything else below it. So this is easier demonstrated than explained. Let's take a look at some of the different ways that this could look and interact with the photo beneath it. Here's darken. So as you can see, only the darkest parts of the image above are still showing through. The lightest parts are not. That's what darken does. Multiply kind of like multiplies all of it. Color burn, that's a much harsher look. Generally, I select these based on the look and feel that they give in any given situation. This first group is going to be all about darkening. The second group is all going to be about lightening. So here's lighten, screen, color dodge, linear dodge, lighter color. This third group is like a mix of the two. It'll do both dark and light. So here's overlay, soft light, hard light, vivid light, linear light. And then these last ones inverse the relationship of the photo on top with the photo on bottom. So here's difference, exclusion, subtract, and divide. These are good if you want a really harsh effect. The ones at the very, very bottom deal with hue, saturation, color, and luminosity. So sometimes those can be really good if you want to just have like the same texture come through, but the colors of the photo beneath to rise up and help mix it in. Personally, I like the effect of overlay the best. So I'm going to choose that. Now, one thing, and I'm using Shift to click both of these, and why don't I even group them just so I can see and rename this to bottom layer. One thing that I want to create is kind of like a dual effect. So here I'm just going to select both of these, drag this up, and then I'm going to hold Option and click to create sort of a drop shadow effect. And now we have a copy of both of those above. I'm going to drag them up above, group them again, and call this top layer. So here now I might want to change my bottom layer to something darker. Let's see if this actually is my bottom layer here. Let's turn it off. Oh, it turns out that's what that looks like. Let's focus on this. Instead of overlay, let's choose screen for a lighter top layer. And then over here, let's choose a darkening type to create that effect. Yeah, awesome. Now, this is looking nice. All of this is really great. And I can just go ahead and center this again. But it's still looking a little, I don't know, it could blend in a little bit better. I want a general pinky feel to all of this. That's the color scheme I want. And right now, there's just like a lot of blue in here. So one thing that I can do is I can change the color of the photo by using a layer effect. When you do a layer effect, all you have to do is double click on a layer, and then you will bring up the layer styles. And here to the right, you can see different blending options and effects that you can add. I like to use color overlay, and much like blending modes, you can go over to color overlay, check or uncheck to show or hide it, and then under blend mode, just like layers, you can choose how the color interacts with the photo underneath it. So here, this one is screen, and I've chosen a nice hot pink, and I'm just going to leave it as screen because I'm pretty happy with how that looks. That's going to be my top one. I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom one, and just being careful not to double click on the name, but just underneath, do a color overlay. And I can even play with the opacity here to really strengthen or remove that look. And I really like the way that that looks. Finally, I want this whole photo to have a pinky feel. I want everything to have a similar tone. So I'm going to change the background and add a layer effect just like I did with my photos up here. So I'm going to double click this. Now remember, like we saw in our first Photoshop video, that the background is a special layer. Until you make it a layer 0, you can't do anything with the background. It's locked. So here, when I double click on it, I'm going to get this new layer dialog. Go ahead and hit OK, not a big deal. And then double click one more time to get to that layer style and layer blending mode screen. This time, let's try a gradient overlay, something different to make this just get a nice overall look and feel. I'm going to continue using screen because I like the kind of mysterious look and feel that it gives us. Now, over in here, if you click this down arrow, you can see a bunch of preset gradients in here. You can just try different ones on. I happen to like this one because it pulls in some of the purples down here. But we could also use pinks. We could get so many different beautiful looks and feels here, all just by changing this gradient overlay. I think this one's my favorite. I'm going to stick with this. And just to deselect and select, you can always click this little eyeball to see what it looked like before and after. And look how nice and tied together that feels. So much better. So you can get a really cool creative effect using Photoshop and these different layer blending tools to change the way that things interact with each other. Let's review one more time what new techniques we learned in this video. The first technique that we learned was dragging in new photos and creating a smart object with them. We don't know much about smart objects yet, but that's okay. The thing that you can know about them is that you can use a layer effect on them. Layer effects, when we double click, allow us to change the way the layer looks and behaves. We focused mostly on color overlay and gradient overlay today, but there are all kinds that you can put in here, including drop shadow or bevel emboss. I wouldn't recommend that one. Stroke, that's an option too. None of these are particularly my favorites, but I do love the color overlay and gradient overlay for helping change the color of things. We also learned that this little arrow means that this is using a clipping mask. Remember that when you right click or command click, you get this option on a layer and you will either be able to add a clipping mask or release it. Let's try releasing it and see what happens when we don't have the clipping mask here. Wow, the photo shows up and it's like all over the place, right? So what this clipping mask was doing, the purpose of that was to restrict it just to this type so that the photo only shows at that type. So let's put it back, right click, create clipping mask, and now it's a lot cleaner. Finally, we explored copying and dragging and using the Alt or Option key to create a copy of things so that you can see them together, and reviewed the patch tool from our last video to remove the moon up at the top. So remember, this is where we started with the moon up at the top and no text and the ocean down here, and this is where we ended up. I hope this helps you out. I hope this gives you some great ideas for where to go with your advertisements and create really beautiful, creative photo manipulations that bring in beautiful texture and layering and colors to them. Experiment. Try these new tools out and see what you can do to make things look good together. Try things that you wouldn't expect. You probably have an idea in mind. Try some of these different layer effects. Try some of the different layer blending modes. Clip mask things. See what happens. You might be surprised at where you end up. Next, we're going to take a look at layer masks and some of my favorite ways to combine photos together and bring together all this knowledge that we've learned in the past couple videos to make a really realistic photo manipulation. I'll see you in a bit.